Welcome back to the channel, Retro Freaks. Today we are going to talk about something that I seen in the comment section on my way to work, and it just got the wheels turning, and it's this narrative that retro gaming has gotten too expensive.
Yes.
And I read the comment, I'm driving. Not a good idea. But I read it, and I go, literally to myself in the car, I go, in relation to what? Might be a hot take, but I continually disagree with this narrative that it's no longer fun to collect, that it's too expensive, la 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 la, because that is one thing we'll say, and then we'll get all jacked up and pay $79.99 for a game, or get all jacked up for a $700 console that doesn't play physical discs.
Yes.
Yet retro gaming is no fun anymore because it's gotten too expensive, and why don't you just emulate?
Oh my, yeah.
I don't know.
It's so frustrating. Like, I think bringing up in relation to what is so important, because what are you clicking for? If you're clicking for the NES, what is expensive to you? A lot of amazing NES games you can get for $10, $15, which is absolutely insane. Jackal, one of my favorite NES games, $10. Dr. Mario, less than $10.
Well,
like that, is that expensive?
That's a great question. And where is the bar of like you said, what isn't expensive? Was it set when these consoles rode off into the sunset and Funkoland was selling things for $1 or $2?
Which was awesome.
Or is it set by old vintage hunting videos on YouTube where Billy and Jay are out there finding games on the low? Where is the bar? Because if you were to set the bar to where you said on the NES, anything over $50, hell, let's go $40. Anything over $40 is an expensive game. So right now at $40, we're talking a little more than half price of a new game.
Yes, which is still pretty cheap if you think about it, because people are dropping $80 on brand new games that are like just seasonal. $80 for like a new Madden. Like what?
Dude, $40 and under, if that's your threshold on the NES, so many awesome games that you can
get
play.
Almost all the games we own. Like you could get all the Marios, you could get freaking Castlevania.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And are those people, do they already have all the cheap, amazing games, and then they're talking about it's expensive? Maybe go collect something else. Collect a different console. You can get a ton of PS2 games for $10, $15.
And, you know, as a couple proud owners of Power Blade 2 on the NES, that's stupid expensive, not worth it. Badass game, by the way. Yes, there are these outliers.
There are expensive games, and yeah, you can't go out and spend an entire paycheck on Power Blade 2. But if you go, that's why we did a series about it.
Yeah.
Because if you go about flipping your way towards it, you can get those expensive games for cheap or for basically free without breaking the bank.
Like, and to me, it kind of goes back to, why are you collecting in the first place? If you're collecting just to amass a bunch of games, and you want like complete sets and all that, maybe it could get kind of expensive. But if you're grabbing stuff that you really want to play, find your threshold and stay under that bar. And just do the limbo underneath that little $40 bar or whatever it is, and you've got a lifetime's worth of games to play. I was reading this deal the other day. Roughly, according to price charting, a full North American set on the PlayStation 2, 1,800 and some odd games, right? To buy that all CIB's like 36 grand. You might be like, whoa, hold traffic.
That's a year's salary for some people. Yeah, that's a ton of money.
Pause.
Pause.
Let's really digest that though. 1,800 and change, you divide it by 36,000, we're roughly around $20 a game. Now, if you remove outliers from that, and we're talking your Rule of Roses, Haunted Ground, all these crazy-ass games, that pendulum probably resides somewhere around $16 to $17 a game. Boy, again, apply the $40 rule and draw a line on the PlayStation 2 collection. Everything under $40 is obtainable. Boy, I think $40 a fair bar. You guys can tell us in the comment section below if it is or it isn't.
Yeah, I think 40 is pretty reasonable.
But, dude, you would never need to buy another video game again if you are buying these games to play and to beat.
Yeah, and to beat.
And you look under $40 on the PlayStation 2.
Oh,
loaded.
And the PS2, just an example, has so many different varieties of games. You could get cheap RPGs. You could get cheap running guns. You could get cheap skating games. You can get cheap Guitar Hero games.
Yeah.
You could get all these other amazing games, and they still look and play great on the PS2. So I know some people are iffy going back to retro stuff, but PS2 still holds up and looks amazing. So, dude, that's not expensive at all. I think people just see these clips and see these like, oh wow, a sold copy of Mario Bros. Sold for $1 million. I can never own it. That is a freaking freak story.
Yeah.
and that was sealed. You can get that, dude. You can get a copy of Duck Hunt and Mario Bros for like $6. And so if you want to play the game, obviously, if you're not into collecting and all this stuff, you can emulate. And I know that's free and stuff, but I think just play the games, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
Well, we have another video in the pipe as to why we do collect retro games and the importance of that to us, and that'll be at another time. But as we're diving into this, you know, there are certain retro consoles that kind of buck this trend, but they're consoles you didn't own and play anyways when you were a kid.
Yes.
Most of you. There are the folks that did have access to the TG16,
which is so cool.
Sega CD, so on and so forth. Hell, I'd even argue there's a decent amount of games on the Sega Saturn under $40 that you can get your hands on. Same thing with the Dreamcast. But when you really look at the mainline consoles, maybe you kind of gotta like look at GameCube a little different.
Yes, there are some.
But
Wii U.
But even if you set the bar, even at that, I think a universal rule. The $40 rule, patented and created by the one and only Gaming Off the Grid.
$40
The $40 bar. What can you play in the retro gaming scene for $40 and under? A whole fuck ton of games.
Yeah.
Have fun, boys and girls. Yeah.
The list would go on and on, especially if you have multiple consoles. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna $40 and under for NES, and you're like, okay, I got most of those. Then Super Nintendo, then Genesis, then freaking PS2, then and then you'd have a wall like this of games. And if you're actually gonna play and beat them, you would have them forever.
We're gonna be busy for a very, very long time. And you know, we've done videos on this channel. We'll maybe put some in the description below or whatever. Collecting like $100 challenge, 10 or as many great games on a console as you can get for $100.
Yep.
And great to certain people mean different things. To me, a great game means it's fun to play. I'm going to play it start to finish.
Yep.
Some people, a great game means it's worth money. I've never thought that.
No, yeah, I think a great game is just, do you connect with it? Do you enjoy playing it? And I really like looking at replayability.
Yeah. So
if you're spending, especially if you're going to spend a little bit more money, like if you go over that 40 line, is there replayability? Is it worth it to spend more than that? You know.
So we were having a discussion before we turned the cameras on. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 on PS2, I'm just going to shoot from the wrist here, but I know it's under $20. It's probably about $15, $13, something like that. This dude right here has been playing that game for 20 plus years.
Yep.
And once or twice a month, he'd be like, I was up late playing Tony Hawk last night. Even if, and it isn't, but even if that game was $50 today, and you'd be like, well, why would a Tony Hawk game be $50? Let's just say if it was. Would that not be more worth it than the latest Star Wars game on PS5?
I would, yeah, because
who's going to be playing that game for 20 plus years?
I would go to the store and be like, okay, I can buy the new Star Wars game for PS5 for $80, or Tony Hawk's $50. Now, that's an exaggeration, but I would probably buy Tony Hawk because I love that game. I can play it nonstop, and I've been playing it for 20 years. If I buy the Star Wars game, I'll probably play it and beat it and never touch it again. And I spent $80 on that.
That's the whole thing. That is where the rubber meets the road here for me. A lot of these games we're talking about are games we've been playing since we were kids. We've been playing for 20 plus years. That's why I loved the Tony Hawk example, and I want to talk about it here. What's that worth to you?
Yes, what's it worth to you? Yeah.
And to me, it is not too expensive. You will, I'm not saying you, most, you watch it over there. No, but most will pay $80 the day a game comes out, and they're happy to get 2 weeks, a month, a year out of it, and they don't think twice about it. And then they'll kind of dunk on the hobby of retro gaming, saying it's too expensive. Let us know in the comments section below what you guys think. I don't think it's too expensive.
No, I don't.
Do I wish it was cheaper? Hell yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
I wish everything was cheaper. I wish my car that I drive to work every day was cheaper.
But it's just not. You know, this is the world we live in, and it's not.
But to me, ask yourself in relation to what?
Yes.
And what does value truly mean to you? If the value of video games is entertainment, time, and replayability, dang, I think retro is pretty dang cheap. Challenge us.
Yes.
Blow up the comments.
I would love to
Let us know what you think.
Thoughts, yeah.
I think retro gaming's alive and well, and I think the barrier of entry is low. I think it's a fun hobby to be into, and there's tons of good games to be played for dirt cheap. We appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. We'll catch you on the very next episode of the one and only Gaming Off the Grid. Dig it!